Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. If you've ever stopped to wonder how the natural world just keeps sustaining itself, day after day, year after year, without ever running out of raw materials, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're going to take a really deep, unhurried dive into the beautiful mechanics of life on Earth. So whether you're a student trying to master these concepts for a class, or honestly just a curious learner, we're breaking down everything, from the microscopic machinery inside a single leaf all the way up to the massive global cycles that keep our entire planet thriving. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with number 1, the zero waste concept. Then 2, photosynthesis, making the food. 3, respiration, unlocking energy. 4, zooming out, the great cycles. 5, the beautiful interconnection. And finally, number 6, a quick recap of the endless loop. I want you to kick things off by just pondering this question for a second. When you drink a glass of water, how old is it? Because as we'll see today, energy and matter in nature never simply disappear. That water you're drinking right now didn't just pop into existence. It might have evaporated off an ancient fern, or, no joke, it could have been consumed by a dinosaur millions of years ago. It sounds like magic, but it is pure foundational biology and chemistry. Our own survival is intimately tied to the biology happening inside everyday leaves. It's really not just a one-way street where we water a plant and hope it looks pretty on a desk. We're actually actively participating in the shared, invisible chemical dialogue with plants every single second we are near them. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the zero waste concept, nature's perfect recycling system. So our sources heavily emphasize this point. Nothing is ever truly lost. It's just transformed, borrowed, and passed along to the next living thing in line. I want you to think of nature as this massive, perfectly efficient factory. There are literally no trash cans anywhere. Every single byproduct from one organism's life happens to be the exact essential raw material for another organism's survival. When we say energy and matter never disappear, we just mean the carbon, the oxygen, and the water are constantly changing hats, moving from plants to animals to the soil and right back up to the sky. Which brings us to Section 2, photosynthesis, making the food. Okay, so the word photosynthesis actually comes from Greek. Photo means light, and synthesis means putting together. So plants are quite literally putting things together using light. Now, to really grasp this, we have to talk about the chloroplast. This is the tiny green cellular engine where the magic actually happens. Inside plant leaves, you've got these amazing little structures filled with chlorophyll. That's the green pigment you see when you look at a leaf. And this pigment acts exactly like a microscopic solar panel, just soaking up the sun's energy to power this whole biological factory. Now check out this chemical equation. This is plants using solar energy to convert water and carbon dioxide into glucose, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. Let's really look at this, because honestly, it is the most important recipe on Earth. The plant grabs 6 molecules of carbon dioxide right out of the air and 12 molecules of water from the soil. It mixes them together using the sun's energy as the oven, right? And it bakes them into 1 molecule of sugar, which is its food, plus some water and 6 molecules of oxygen, which it happily releases back into the air. Let's deliberately break this down because understanding this step by step is super important if you're studying this. Photosynthesis basically happens in 2 distinct shifts. First, you have the light-dependent reactions. This step acts like a battery charger, taking sunlight and water and creating chemical energy, specifically a molecule called ATP. It's during this step that the plant splits water molecules and releases oxygen as waste, which, let's be real, is incredibly lucky for us. Second, you have the Calvin cycle. Now, this step doesn't actually need light to run. It uses that stored energy from step 1 to grab carbon dioxide from the air and build it into solid, energy-rich sugar. Moving right along to Section 3, respiration, unlocking the energy. So a plant making food is only half the story. Nature provides this perfect mechanical opposite. What goes in as raw materials for plants is exactly what comes out as a product when animals breathe and generate energy. When you eat a plant, or an animal that ate a plant, your body digests those sugars. Then your cells use the oxygen you breathe in to break those sugars apart. And when that sugar breaks apart, it releases that stored sun energy so you can move, think, and literally just live. The leftovers from that process, carbon dioxide and water, the exact things the plant needs to start the whole recipe over again. Okay, let's look at the bigger picture now in Section 4, zooming out, the great cycles. If we track just a single water droplet over time, we see how the sun drives evaporation, then cooling causes condensation, and finally, gravity brings it back down as precipitation so plants can use it. This is the water cycle. It's just a massive continuous loop. Without this cycle delivering rain to the soil, plants wouldn't have the water they desperately need to run those light-dependent reactions we just talked about. And remember, when humans and animals undergo cellular respiration, we're releasing water right back into the environment through our breath and sweat, rejoining this exact cycle. And the carbon cycle is equally mind-blowing. It acts as nature's ultimate recycling program, where a single carbon atom can bounce from a leaf into a deer and eventually into fossil fuels hidden deep underground. When that deer munches on a leaf, it's taking in carbon. When it breathes out, carbon dioxide is released. But carbon can also get trapped. If a plant or animal dies over thousands and thousands of years, the immense pressure of the earth turns that stored carbon into fossil fuels. So when we extract and burn those fuels today, we're actually releasing ancient stored carbon right back into the atmosphere for modern plants to absorb. Following the oxygen cycle, we see this perfectly balanced flow. Plants provide the exact gas a hiker needs to move, and the hiker exhales exactly what the plants need to survive. It's a totally elegant dance. As a boy runs through the forest, his muscles are demanding energy. His cells are pulling in the oxygen provided by the trees to break down his breakfast using cellular respiration. He exhales carbon dioxide, which the trees immediately absorb to run their Calvin cycle and bake up more food. Which brings us to Section 5, the beautiful interconnection, a perfect balance. Without the oxygen released during photosynthesis, cellular respiration just couldn't happen, which proves that plants and animals are locked in this unbreakable, life-sustaining partnership. Honestly, they are two halves of the same whole. Photosynthesis and cellular respiration are completely interdependent. If plants suddenly stopped making oxygen today, the animal kingdom would quickly grind to a halt. And if animals and the natural processes of decay stopped producing carbon dioxide, plants would essentially starve. This is nature's version of reduce, reuse, and recycle, just scaled up to the size of an entire planet. All right, Section 6, Recap, the endless loop. Let's quickly tie all these concepts together. We started at the micro level, looking at chloroplasts acting as tiny solar factories, combining water and carbon dioxide to make sugar and oxygen. Then we saw how animals step in to eat that sugar and breathe that oxygen to unlock their own energy, releasing water and carbon dioxide right back out. And finally, we zoomed out to see how those individual exhalations and microscopic cellular functions actually drive the massive global water, carbon, and oxygen cycles that blanket our entire Earth. So I'll leave you with this thought to kind of spark your curiosity about your own direct daily participation in Earth's zero-waste factory. The next time you take a deep breath in a park, or even just water a houseplant in your room, remember that you aren't just observing nature from the outside, you are an active, vital gear in this grand, beautifully balanced machine. Keep learning, keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.